Anime is weird. I know that's not exactly some sort of world-changing statement, but I think that it's at least one that needs saying. Anime always finds one way or another to just weird me out. Anytime I've ever talked to one of my friends who I'd consider to be normal, they tend to give me the side eye when I describe some of the stuff that I've watched. One thing that I've wanted to do forever, though, because my audience has picked up on this, is talk about how I actually got into anime and why the stuff that I like is so freaking different than all the other stuff that everybody else likes. Plus, how it was that people got into these sorts of series before the days of Crunchyroll and the internet at large. First off, being a old man and being in my mid-30s, I have to mention Toonami before anything else. Just about anyone my age probably saw their first anime this way unless they knew somebody who did tape trading or had a video store with an animation section. More on that later. But anyway, Toonami was the place to catch anime on a weekday afternoon. For me, it was how I got exposed to Dragon Ball Z like everybody else, Gundam Wing, Tenchi Muyo, Outlaw Star, and so forth. Then, there was Adult Swim before it sucked ass, which was what introduced everyone to Cowboy Bebop, whether they admit it or not, Mobile Suit Gundam, both 0080 and 0083, Wolf's Rain, and then of course one of my favorites, Trigun. Those are all from when I was a teenager, by the way. I know that there have been quite a bit more as years have gone on, and there's also the unfortunate fact that it introduced so many people to Inuyasha. Other than that, though, you didn't really find much of it on television. Though I do remember being exposed to Vampire Hunter D on TNT's Monster Vision. By the way, apparently somebody was asleep at the fucking wheel, because that version that I saw on TNT censored 0% of the gore.
Well, hey.
Which is what I think the peak animation age ghetto really is. So, it's safe to say that back in my day, there was a lot of people that were introduced to the genre that way. But one thing that I always loved about anime in those days, again, before the advent of the internet and everything like that, or at least the popularization of it, is that there was a sort of dark underbelly to it. If you haven't already gathered this from my videos on Devilman and Berserk, I am a big fan of the darker and grislier anime out there. And quite frankly, there were some absolute classics that could not be shown on daytime TV or even Adult Swim, even though I do remember they did show the first episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion on Toonami once, which still shocks the shit out of me. But how would you get your hands on these things? How would you find something like A Fist of the North Star or Evangelion or something that was too mature to show on cable television, but you didn't know where to get anywhere else? Well, they used to have these things called video rental stores. Wow, I just copied the one semi-funny joke from Captain Marvel. Go me. Anyway, within these stores, there was almost always the dreaded animation section. You'd rarely see anyone rent from that area, mostly because, at least near me, the videos were pretty blatantly labeled as unrated. And this was before half of the movies in rental places were given unrated cuts that would show a boob, or have someone say fuck more than once. So the title carried a little bit more weight at the time. I still remember renting Spawn, and I mentioned this in my Things I Love Spawn video, and getting chewed out by my mother because it said unrated on it. I was 18, go fuck yourself with your criticisms. Anyway, the title carried much more weight at the time. And if you wanted to find the most tasteless and violent anime that existed, that section in the video store is where you'd find it. Between high school and college, that's how I got exposed to Ninja Scroll, Fist of the North Star, the Devilman OVAs, Demon City Shinjuku, Angel Cop, Twilight of the Dark Master, Wicked City, Biohunter, Spriggan, and there's others I know I'm forgetting. Did you know, by the way, and I didn't know this until I went to the video store, that the PC game Sin got an anime? Yeah, it's actually halfway decent, oddly enough. But here's something I will tell you right now. Unlike certain soy boys with stupid hats, I fucking love this trashy garbage. The fun in it is how absolutely fucking ridiculous it is. Yes, is the gore excessive? Fuck yeah, it is. Are the plots to many of the OVAs thin and flimsy? Of course they are. Nothing is very well explained. It's basically there to just destroy everything. That's the fun part. They're the anime version of a trauma film sometimes. You don't need complex stories all the fucking time. Sometimes all you need are the blood, guts, and some Meshuggah playing in the background while you watch someone get their goddamn face blown off, motherfucker! Sorry. In all seriousness, though, I will say that I'm a complete and total anime hipster when it comes to anything recent. Anime doesn't seem like it's as fun as it used to be. At least not from my day. When I look back at what many people consider to be the best series of the last 10 years, the only ones that really caught my attention that weren't Gundam titles were Parasite, Psycho Pass, Devilman Crybaby, and JoJo. Yeah, just 4 series. Everything else seems to be missing something that was there for a series like Fist of the North Star, the 90s Berserk, and so forth. Oh god, and let's not forget Hellsing Ultimate. That's another one that's really good of the last 10 years. But again, that's what, 5? That's, it's not a good number. There's a very bad number! It seems like everything these days takes place in a high school and features some kid that harnesses his inner power to become not Jesus. It reminds me of that period of JRPGs where it seemed like every fucking story was a bunch of kids harnessing the power of friendship to kill God. Of the series that I've enjoyed as time has gone on, more and more I find myself hating what we get these days. Nowadays, what's pushed, and what gets a fucking budget, are slice of life and those aforementioned high school bullshit shows, or waifu bait. Meanwhile, a legendary manga like Berserk gets stuck with bullshit CG and a non-existent budget. What the actual fuck? Why on earth does horseshit like Prison School or Monster Musume get more of a budget than Berserk? Somebody's got their fucking priorities wrong. That's what the problem is here. When Masaki Yuasa was named as the director of Devilman Crybaby, I was in shock, given how high profile he seems to be. It doesn't seem like the more mature stuff that's considered classic ever gets much attention, and it sucks. There's no sense of how to treat it very often. Even in the West, Netflix felt the need to redub Neon Genesis Evangelion and completely fuck the dog with it in the process. What I find depressing about all this is that a series like Vinland Saga or Goblin Slayer is the exception, not the rule. When there's clearly a Western audience for more mature anime, there has been for ages. It seems like everything I'm finding these days either just refuses to pull the trigger or never lasts very long. Everything else is catering to these lonely fucking weeaboos who don't really seem like they're ever going to get a girlfriend. Can we please have something for those of us who have moved on with our lives and gotten older? I imagine just about anyone in the comments can think of a more mature anime that never got a second season despite either being a fun, gory mess or was actually good. Heck, my favorite piece of trashy anime that got this treatment is Gantz, and from what I've seen of the manga, it would have been actually a really good visual treat, and a feast for the eyes if animated well. Hell, think of this. Uzumaki by Junji Ito is only now getting an anime adaptation. It's considered a manga classic. Fucking Dragon Maids got an adaptation before Uzumaki. This settles it. All waifus must die.
We have arrived, and it is now that we fulfill our charge. In fealty to the Lord our God, and by the grace of his throne, I declare exterminatus upon whatever scumbag we're declaring exterminatus on today. I hereby sign the death warrant of an entire wherever, and consign 1,000,000 souls, maybe, to oblivion. May imperial justice account in all balance. The Emperor protects.
Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult.
To close this out, I hope that gives some sort of perspective on why the fuck I hate most anime these days. And to go even further beyond, why I want less waifu bullshit and more fun action and mature titles. Harems are stupid, your waifu is trash, this is not a ninja, this kid is a shitty superhero, and it seems like most of Japan doesn't have balls when it comes to telling stories. What I'd advise to you in the audience is to get in the fucking robot and check out some of the series that I've shown, because even though some of the tropes that I dislike that I've mentioned are there in some of these series, there's at least character evolution, an interesting twist, or there's enough blood and guts to justify a banquet of red meat, potatoes, and beer. My name is Micah Curtis, former video game journalist and current comic book writer. I'll see you next time.